So we've covered quite a lot of the more basic functionality within Stellaris. However, today I want to go and take a look at some of the more advanced stuff. So there is quite a lot of them in the game, and there is quite a lot of interesting mechanics that are available that may not be as apparent at the first glance. Let's put it that way. Some of these things that I'm going to be listing for today, I've already talked about in the past, and some of them are absolutely brand new that I've never talked about and I've known about for a little while. But yeah, I've never talked about. So let's get underway with number one. With number one, we've got optimized surveying. So this is something that was brought to my eye relatively recently. It turns out that if you have a science ship and, a construction ship, and you right-click on a planet, before you surveyed it, it turns out that the game already seeds the amount of minerals and energy that is available there. So you'll be able to see what is there before you survey it. Therefore, you can optimize your science surveying by not sending them randomly into a system. You can use your construction ship to see, hey, is there a material there? Can I build a station there, which will be grayed out in that particular case before it is surveyed? And basically, we're like, okay, survey ship, go to these locations first. This obviously does not apply to the anomalies that randomly spawn throughout the game and are basically set up in such a way that they spawn and they give you random effects. So this is more of a way to optimize your ability of surveying. It's a bit min-maxy, but it works quite well, and if you want to get on off the start of the game and you're working versus high-level AI, that is kind of useful. Let's move on to mature galaxies. Sometimes you just don't want to start off with a start of the game and be like, I don't want to really do anything here. So try this little command. Mature galaxy, just type it into the console. Boof, and it will develop, it will put the clock forward 100 years. So basically what this does is it will colonize a bunch of planets for you that are nearby. You hit the unpause button, instantly you will get a couple of factions that are founded. You will get 5,000 energy, 5,000 minerals, a bunch of, 1,000 influence, a bunch of tech. You will get a pretty advanced amount of tech, actually. It really depends on the situation. And, you can basically play from this moment onwards. All diplomacy will be set to 0, so you can basically start the game from a diplomacy point of view from scratch, which makes it really interesting in terms of that. You'll get a certain level of technology. I think it's the second level on all your stuff. So basically this is a way of jumping into the game really early on and basically avoiding that initial bit of setting up your empire, which in my personal opinion is the funnest part of the game. As you can see here, I apparently got to the targeted gene expressions in this little example, which means that it's perfectly set up for the biological ascension tree, which is pretty damn good. Obviously, there's this bunch of technologies that are available, or at least that were researched. So overall, really, really strong. One thing that is important to note, however, is that there will be no Unity generation or no traditions that will be set during this setup. So you have all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want with this. So, for instance, if you go with inward and idyllic agricultural stuff and all that jazz, you'll get a bunch of stuff. A more interesting part about this one was that I managed to get a bunch of infused crystalline plating, which really should not happen. You also get a bunch of armies. You get about an armada of about 5,000. The one thing about this that is important, that is not a guarantee for a good spawn. You can stand up in the middle of a Fnatic Purifier Empire. Anyway, let's move on towards the next one, which is building your own opponents. So sometimes you've built your empire and it's like, you know what, this empire is cool. I would play against them, but it's not something I would play against myself. So once you've constructed your empire, what you can do is, instead of hitting done, you can hit save, and this automatically saves the empire. Then we can go back towards the menu, and there's a little icon next to the empire that we've saved. That's a eagle. So if you actually highlight that eagle where a little lock is attached to it, it means it will always spawn on the map that you are on, which basically means that you can you can pre-generate all the empires that are on the map for you to play with, which is super useful, and it's not particularly straightforward. It is on the menu, obviously, but you first need to save an empire before you can use them. So yeah, that is an interesting one. Then there is the strategic detailed map mode. So normally in the game, you would go on towards the top of the game and you would see all these little icons everywhere for mining stations that are ready. Then there's this button. Turns out, it turns it off. So what it does is, basically, it allows for you to have a easier time overseeing what is available within the borders of your empire. If you've managed to tap some minerals or energy in there that you don't have a mining station on, they will show up on the screen. However, once you actually once they are mined, they will automatically disappear from the field and not become clutter. Any sort of minerals and energy will become untappable on the map. Any sort of non-colonizable empires will become unviewable, etc. So very strong, and if you want to get a easier overview earlier on and basically be able to see what is going on with your empire without having all this clutter. It's not very straightforward that it's there, but I think it is very useful. Now, this is one that we have already talked about, which is the civic swapping and the third civic. It is not something that is completely straightforward, so I did want to cover it in this particular video. It is obviously once you've got Galactic Administration, which means you get +1 civic slots, you go to your government window, reform government, and there they are. The ability to change your authority, but also your civics. Changing your civics lineup will cost you 250 influence, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can pick an extra one to get up to 3, you can swap them all out to get something completely different, and of course, if you've been messing around with your ethics, it means that you will need to change them out because they will no longer become active based around the ethics that they are applicable to. Say, for instance, you're no longer an empire, therefore some of the applicable ones to empires no longer apply. Yeah, so the third one from the Empire Capital Complex, obviously it pops up in the game relatively soon, so you need to go and pick that one up and save up your influence to do so. Of course, there's the factions, so you can get a bit more influence from that. Yeah, like I said, I've covered this one before, but I thought it was advanced enough to actually cover in this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I hope that you did find this video useful. I'm going to do another one for beginners as well, and yeah. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe, and of course the dislike button is down there as well, as is the like button. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other.